Hello YouTube, it's Clank here with the top 5 Resident Evil games. Please remember to subscribe, like, and comment for more. Thanks. First off is at number 5, Resident Evil 9. Resident Evil 9 is probably, to me, the most underwhelming Resident Evil game on my top 5, because yes, it has great atmosphere and story writing, but it feels like, honestly, it drags for a bit after you play through Grace's story, and then once you're done with Grace's story, you go into Leon's, which is another like 4.5 hours. It feels long, and to me that feels like you're just about 75 to 50% of the way there, which I guess is good, but maybe that's the case. But the progression to get there is pretty tedious, in my opinion. At number 4 is Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 1 is the greatest baseline for a Resident Evil game, but it feels the least interesting of all the Resident Evil games on this list. It's also the first Resident Evil game. At number 3 is Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 7 is the start of the making of masterpieces. Capcom really pushes the envelope with these last 3 games in the top 5 of Resident Evil games. Also, this is the start of the RE engine that Capcom has been using for the last decade. Resident Evil 7 also has one of the greatest atmospheres in the game's franchise, being called the most scariest Resident Evil game, being rivaled to only our next game on the list. At number 2 is Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 is one of the greatest Resident Evil games of all time, and I'm talking about the remake of Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 has one of the best zombie enemies, and the game also has Mr. X chasing you at all times nearly through the whole game. And just like Resident Evil 7, it has that great scary atmosphere. Plus, it also has a lot of challenging features with the game once you beat it the first and second time. As an honorable mention, I will mention Resident Evil 8. Resident Evil 8 is just my guilty pleasure of Resident Evil games. I really like Ethan and Rose Winters. And at number 1 on the list, we have Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is arguably the best Resident Evil in the game series, with iconic lines like, "Where's everybody going? Bingo?" and "Hasta luego." The action is super fun, and the story is so captivating and so self-contained that you wouldn't really have to play any other Resident Evil game, really, to understand what's happening in this game. But yeah, that's it. What do you guys think of my top 5 Resident Evil games? Comment down below which Resident Evil game is your favorite, and remember to like and subscribe for more.